Are you ready? Are you ready to pod it up?
Let's go. Let's have fun.
Pete-cast it. This is the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast with Doug Fields,
But we are an award-winning podcast. We gotta start promoting that.
Matt McGill,
Let's soak up that awesomeness.
How great is this?
Wow.
Josh Griffin,
Just to throw it in there, not all of our shows are going to be great.
and Katie Edwards.
That's what the teens are saying.
Write in. We'll answer your email.
SYMpodcast@gmail.com.
Hello! Hey everybody, welcome to episode 162 of the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast. Doug Fields here with my co-host Katie.
Hello, Katie.
Josh
See,
Griffin.
Josh is new.
Oh, it's a little shooter,
The font
shooter
says
McGavin.
everything.
And our good buddy Matt McGill will be coming late. Apparently he had a staff meeting and
So big time now.
the three of us are
That's a
so
real job.
important we couldn't wait for him.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, we actually have been waiting. In all fairness, we've been here about 19 minutes.
Time is
Yeah.
money.
So, yeah.
It is. It is a great commodity.
I wish it was
Great
money,
Yes.
because then I'd be rich.
What?
Well,
Moving on.
You would. If time was money, you wouldn't be rich because you're
I
always
have
late.
more time than money right now.
All right. This is from Dan King. And Dan King, this is great.
Off to a good start.
Yeah.
It says, I'm in the middle of a much needed week off and I thought I'd crash for a while on the couch and watch the latest episode on the big screen through my Apple TV.
Oh,
Okay.
yikes.
That's an
And I
interesting
wish,
choice.
I wish that everybody could see this because he puts this picture. There we all are on a giant screen that looks
Oh my
about.
gosh.
Oh, that's
Well, if let's say he's 6 feet, so that's 8 feet by another 8
Yeah,
feet.
we're larger than life.
And he says, thought you'd get a laugh, so I attached a pic. Thanks for all that you do, and the cheerleaders you are to so many, minus the pom-poms. Pause here for Matt to add some cheerleader and pom-pom.
Oh,
Matt,
so
go.
sad Matt's no longer with us.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, enjoy the attached picture. Since you're life-size on the screen, it makes me feel like I'm there taking a holiday in California.
Wow.
And that was Dan from Vancouver Island, British Columbia.
That's awesome.
That's in
Look like
Canada, eh?
giants.
Always welcome out here.
That was nice.
Thank
that
you.
was funny.
Thank you. I just thought that's fun to watch it on a wall. I met last Saturday, Katie. Josh knows where I was because I
I'll
was
be over
speaking
here.
to his high school ministry. I spoke at his Saturday night service, jumped in the car, drove to Fountain Valley where I did a youth worker training, and afterwards spoke to a wonderful gentleman. He's taller than me. I can see his face. He's a postman.
We'll call him
I
Vince.
cannot remember his name right now.
Vince.
I'm drawing a blank.
I just decided.
Vince.
To move the story
Talked
along,
to
I'm going to go with Vince.
He's a volunteer who is a full-time postman, and he knew everything about the podcast.
Oh.
He was
Really?
so great. Yeah, it was fun to
Wow.
talk to him. Yeah, he just...
I don't know if it's cool. Is it maybe sad a little bit?
No, it was fun because he said
I find
just
it cool.
I hear this all the
Now.
time. It reminds me of my staff meeting.
Ah.
That's the thing that you hear, and it was.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, you're welcome, Vince. I'm going to go with it.
All right. And Katie,
That's cute.
Katie, do you want to tell our friends about watching Thor today?
That is a good story.
Do you think it would? I don't know. Yes, I can. It was just for the first. We were a little bit caught off guard.
I
'cause-
think the moment just passed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I really don't want
It
to hear
was-
it anymore.
yeah.
Oh, great.
No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I do.
No, we went to go see Thor today. My husband ditched work and we had a day off for the
Love
first
it.
part of the day off together. So great. We went to the movies. We never had this happen before where they had our movie was the chosen movie for the hearing impaired. So it was Thor
So it was in Braille.
with captions. No, so it was just
So stupid.
I can't even laugh at your joke. It was so dumb.
No, it wasn't even a joke.
I'm just
So-
going to take it to tack because I have something to do with my mouth while you...
No, so it's just I've never ever. We go to the movies a lot, I feel like, and we've never ever had that happen. It was so strange.
So it was
It's
subtitles the whole time.
subtitles.
How funny.
But it still had sound, but it had the subtitles. So it was so weird because we were just reading the subtitles. You couldn't. It was such a
Well,
strange.
the funny part of
experience.
the story that I thought was funny was when you said you lean back and you put your
yeah.
feet up on the chair to kind of block out the
Nobody
cover
else
the
was in the
feet.
theater, so Ron's like, "Do you think they'll turn off the subtitles?" Since
You
we're
guys are the only ones in the
Only
theater?
ones in there, just the two of us in this theater. Yes, I was trying to put my feet up to block the words so I could see the movie because they were so distracting.
I love it.
I've never heard that before. No,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
totally fine with it. I just maybe would have wanted to know about it ahead
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah, closed
little bit
captioning
of
on
a surprise.
TV, not the most unusual thing, but at a movie theater, that is funny.
Did not know that.
It was weird.
Love it.
Fine.
Doug, you want to talk about what's happening with your wardrobe today, or just leave it right there? Just let you guys just banter amongst
I like
yourselves
Those
about
of
it.
you on video, Josh thinks that this is an Azusa Pacific plug.
Well, you have matching hat and shirt.
It's not matching hat and shirt.
Well, they're
it's
both-
a water polo, Azusa Pacific water polo,
Cool
and
shirt.
you do not wear a hat in the water.
That's
not,
true.
Not at least this
You know, when you wear a hat, you remind me so much of Cody, your son. It kills me. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Does this hair remind you of Cody?
Cody's future, maybe. It's sad.
Now, Monday, today is Wednesday, so on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
I was at Azusa Pacific meeting with the youth ministry professors. I walked into the bookstore, and the person who oversees the Homeward Center said, "Would you like some Azusa apparel?"
That's awesome.
They've been
Yeah.
cleaned out by graduation, all those people. There
Totally.
wasn't much. I go, absolutely. And so I got a bunch of shirts. I drove out to Palm Desert, where I did a speaking to teenagers. No, Understanding Your Teenager.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Understanding Your Teenager seminar, and I drove home straight here to the podcast, and I didn't want to drive in my speaking
No,
clothes.
I appreciate that.
I'm casual, Doug.
I like casual.
I like it
Thank
too.
you.
It's good. It's reflected in your attitude too. Just casual,
Casual.
fun, no big deal. Grab a Coke afterwards, whatever. Hey, did you make your speaking engagement on Saturday night
did.
after services?
I did.
I can't
Good.
believe you drove from Saturday night service to another speaking engagement. Was it at like 10 o'clock at night?
No, it was. I was speaking at 8:30, and I told the guy, I said, because I had already committed to Josh for that weekend, and or maybe I can't remember if I did or not, but I just said a lot of times I'll speak at the high school ministry. I'm not done till 7:30. But really cool guy. What he did is he got a bunch of churches together in Fountain Valley and Huntington Beach, and just
That's
kind of
cool.
said, we're all on the same team, and they brought a band in, and
Good
just
for him.
basically saying
That's
our
fun.
community, the youth ministry together, Young Life was there, Youth for Christ, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and about 20 churches and all their volunteers came.
That's awesome.
And he just said, let's
Good for
win
him.
kids for Jesus as a team. Quit being competitive.
Love
And so I went and spoke, and Kathy went with me. She had the car.
that's cool.
She had the Prius
She
right
took
outside
out my car.
right outside the high school ministry.
All
we
revved
did-
up.
We
And
went
went
out about 12 miles an hour, very silently. Yeah, it was very fun. Very fun.
That's cool.
That's awesome. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. Hey there, team. Really appreciate this from Chris Jackson from South Carolina, Holly Springs Baptist Church. Really
All right.
appreciate all you do. Rewind watcher here, but I'm not sure in all 161 episodes I laughed any harder than when McGill said, quote, "When people think of me, they think of the word womanizer." I almost had to buy a
That
new
was a great
computer
one.
because I literally
Yeah.
sprayed water all over my desk because of laughter.
It was really funny and true. That's the weird
hey,
part.
and he asked a question about gifts for graduates. He says, I know you've got some great stuff on Simple Youth Ministry, but I was hoping to steer clear of books for a change. Any thoughts or wisdom from Matt would be great. Matt?
He's silent on the subject.
Yeah,
What
Matt.
else we got?
Ideas.
He's got nothing.
Yeah. I would say
That's good.
I'd say a great photograph, something that
Totally.
if you don't want to give a book, something that defines your ministry, either
Or your
a
year.
collage or something
Yeah.
like that.
Totally. A framed
With
image with
letter.
a note or a letter on the back would be big.
We
Yeah.
did one time, I don't know if this was for leaders or for students, but every series we had taught, we laid up on just like an 8.5 by 11 every kind of title slide.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just was a collage of all the different teaching series that we had went through for the year.
I like
So
that.
I think it was for 8th graders just to kind of look back and
That's
see
fun.
what we had done. It was really fun.
Katie, that's a great idea.
It was cool.
You are so much more valuable than Josh right now.
No, I totally agree. Well, I'm always books. I'm a book guy. Whoa, what do we do? I don't know. Give him a book.
Right.
99 Thoughts for Small Group Leaders.
Oh, heck yeah. Great book for grads. What?
Because they're going to lead small groups in junior high.
That's right. Someday. No, we've done luncheons and some things like that that aren't necessarily
Luncheons?
gifty. Luncheons, that's correct. And I stopped those because I didn't like the name. And then we moved on. Yeah. Just like we're about to now, too.
All right. This is from Joe, North Carolina.
I'm going to call him Vince.
You know what? I'm more fun without Matt, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I am. I think I feel.
I think it's the clothes.
I think I feel lighter. I don't.
I think it's the clothes too.
Well, here's the deal. When
She
Matt's
just
here,
got casual attitude.
I'm always
today.
a little anxious that he's going to say something
Yeah.
that just
Completely
is gonna reflect
inappropriate.
all of us.
Yeah. Like him being a womanizer, for
Well,
example.
Yeah, I'm just always a little on edge. And we know that Matt will never come back and watch this, so I can confess it to you and
Yeah.
our team.
Yeah,
and
we
you would not
know.
know that. Much like Katie's never really watched a show.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
how
exactly.
she feels the same way about Matt, but has never admitted it, right, Katie?
Joe from North Carolina writes, "Hello, Josh and friends.
Hey!
So I'm somewhere around halfway in my rewind trek, and I'm listening to episode 101. I know 101 is farther than half of 161, but my system is not logical.
Fuzzy math.
First of all, you guys were on that day. Mainly on Matt, but nonetheless, hilarious. That's how he spelled it. Hilarious. They do. But there is some conversation about segues, and I remember this was a reoccurring theme through several episodes, so I was wondering if we could get a segue update, and if to quote Matt, or to quote Doug, so this is my quote, Matt's mother-in-law crapped $3,000. That was said around the 11-minute mark.
That was,
And if you
that was a
guys
good
had
show.
any creative ideas for their use in youth ministry. Josh.
Absolutely. We have done a thing called the Segway Olympics, where the host, which was myself, would ride around on the Segway, and it was
In
so much fun.
costume.
In costume, full toga. We did it at
Well,
summer
at camp. You came out
Yeah.
every time in a...
And we gave free rides on it, like at the break times or whatever. Students loved that during rec. Yeah, it was a total blast.
Yeah.
So, and we've made games where you can get on the Segway and run. The problem is the Segway you need to learn. You need to learn
Yeah.
it. So you don't just hop on it and go.
not
You
like
hop
a
on it and
scooter.
fall off. Yeah, and hurt yourself. So it's not ideal for
And if you ever wanted to find an episode on poor stewardship of tithe money, they could listen to this illustration.
They could listen to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could rent one, and it'd be a very wise use of time.
Well, which you did. That's what was my point. Because it was
So-
just for you.
hurt people.
It was just for you. The segue was just for you.
You looked
I mean,
cute,
one,
though.
you
But-
never let me ride it. So
There's
maybe
the truth.
Maybe I'm
Never
a
got a ride.
No.
There's
never
the
got a
truth.
ride. Every
I
time-
Probably
offered.
because you had to wear the costume to ride it.
Yeah,
So.
No.
you had to be a
Because I
Greek
was
god.
speaking at the camp. Maybe he didn't want me to hurt my voice.
I was
I don't know.
protecting you.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I was protecting.
Perhaps.
No, it's a niche product. It's very expensive, but it
Yeah.
was very, very fun. I really wish I owned one. I think it'd be hilarious.
Yeah. It would be.
I
I'd
would.
love to see it with a little helmet.
Me too. I would never walk again.
This is from Angie Barker. She says, I'm trying to be better about recruiting and training volunteers. All right? I really want to get more volunteers and train them to be valuable assets, but I stink at it. Are there any books or training manuals? Oh, thank you, Katie. Katie's
Set
got
question.
Katie's got one called Youth Leader
We've
Training on the
got
Go.
one.
We, it says
Nah.
Doug and Katie. Oh,
Doug with Katie Edwards.
Can you teach yourself to be better at recruiting and training volunteers? I have a lot of questions like, this person is gifted and called to ministry, but they don't really have their spiritual life in order, so how do I utilize them? Or this person would be wonderful, but they're already overcommitted, so how do I get them to commit to us? Or this person doesn't have a relationship with God, but they're faithful church members who are interested in helping teens. I don't really have a big pond to fish in and want the very best God has for our teenagers.
That was a great question.
yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of resources
Okay.
out there. I mean, First 2 Years has a couple of great chapters on volunteer ministry, which I love.
Thank you.
And I think, well, so does PDYM. So does Purpose Driven Youth Ministry has got like application and questions and commitment level and all that kind of stuff. And I
Yeah.
think those are great guides for when you're forming this part of your program. I think I think she's kind of answered her own questions in here on what she's looking for,
Yeah.
just in what she's stumbled across. And so I think forming some clear expectations out of the questions that she's asking, just
Okay,
spiritual
unpack
life
that a little
intact.
bit. Okay.
So she says,
Okay, so what she's saying,
Yeah.
you're taking her questions and turn those into application questions.
Yeah, maybe like, this person is gifted and called to ministry, but they don't have their spiritual life in order. Well, spiritual life in order is probably a prerequisite for serving in your ministry. So defining that and what that looks like, and so that when people come in her door, she can go, you know what, this is kind of our expectation for your spiritual life, that you're, in a small group, or you're attending church, or,
Yeah.
you're loving God daily, or, whatever that looks like. And then she says, this person would be wonderful, but they're overcommitted. Well, what does your commitment look like? What's your commitment level? And, being clear with them up front of, here's the commitment, and this maybe isn't a ministry where you can serve in music and children's and this and that to do that. So I think even using some of the questions that she's asking and turning those into what her clear expectations are of serving in the ministry. So.
What do you think about, she says, can you teach yourself to be better at recruiting and training volunteers?
I think so. I think it's something that grows over time, that the more you do it and the more you know your people and you kind of let yourself fall in love with volunteer ministry, I think you start to really gain a passion for training and developing. Yeah. And that is one area that I think there's a lot of great resources. Leaders or Learners is so great.
Ton of training material out there.
Ton of training material that you can, even if you don't feel like you're great at the teaching part or the upfront training part, you could play, you know, hey, let's listen to this together and then discuss afterwards. So I think that's one area where there are some great resources. And I think the more you do those things, and the more you feel confident to train. So
I'll just add one more thing. I think you have to. You have to get better at this, develop yourself. You have to. It's not can you, it's not should I. It is if you're going to survive in youth ministry long term, if you're going to build a healthy infrastructure for a healthy youth ministry, you have to. You have to get great at this process of recruiting, training, leading, volunteering.
I love the fact that she even says I stink at it. You know, I mean, that is a good leadership. Self-awareness is an important leadership skill. And to realize that this isn't my strength. But there may be somebody at your church who maybe doesn't want to work with teenagers, but might be your key recruiter, or somebody who would work with you and just help be a finder, do the first level of interviews or asking questions, that type of thing. So that person is actually, working with youth workers.
Well, a parent who loves your ministry or a current volunteer who's already successful, I feel like I've seen that.
Let's get this thing started.
Hi, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we're live and rolling.
The show.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. We've already had several Matt comments.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where's Chris today?
Every email has your name in it.
It does, yeah. Everyone's gone. It's a robot.
Look at this guy from Alberta, Canada, watching us on that huge screen.
That's
How
perfect.
great is that?
That's perfect. Almost does us justice.
Larger than life.
That's right.
What if you created 3 opportunities, like an A, B, and C? Like A is, it's kind of like not probation, but it's like a trial period
like
where you investigate and get to know them and know their spiritual depth and know their availability and know their commitment to Christ and the youth ministry, etc. B is, they're kind of in now. They're on your team. They're a normal, healthy leader. And C would be, an additional level of leadership or commitment or whatever. So keep the front door pretty wide open, and then maybe kind of graduate them to some different levels. That might help you with some people. You're like, I don't have a big pool to fish from. Yeah. Well, get them in the door, and then kind of see how it works out.
Well, you also know that God has the people in that environment for the kids that He's entrusted to your care. You just have to find them, and that is a lot of work. Definitely. But it's thinking outside the box. It's thinking outside the stereotypes of, young and a lot of free time and extrovert. Looking through everybody. That you may have a small pond, but there's people in that pond who can.
Well, and don't you think that the wrong leader is worse than no leader? In my mind, I would rather have a small group waiting for a leader for a couple extra weeks while I sort through a healthy, good process for a leader than having a wrong person that I put in really quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
So, don't want to be desperate.
But I think having a process up front is important, but it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
It can be simple.
Thank you.
Any chance we can get I'd wear that, dude.
Nice. I'd wear
Thank
it.
you.
I don't think I'd wear it.
Yeah. Would you wear it with
Even
the
on
stain on
casual
it?
Doug Day?
Would you wear a Azusa Pacific Water Polo Team shirt?
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
I know.
Wow, talk about sellout.
Welcome back. Here we go. Question number 7.
They're a sponsor of the show, right?
Today's sponsor.
Today's
MoreThanDodgeball.com.
Oh, nice.
DougFields.com. LoveGodLoveStudents.com. And
Just me, myself.
Youth Worker Training on the go.
Kedwards.com.
You should do KateEdwards34.com. Be huge.
Someone asked if you had a Twitter. That's your Twitter. That's what you're referring to, right? It's just a little insider information. I like to bring our team in on stuff
I like that. The new Matt.
Well,
welcome.
Every day that Matt is new.
You want to share with our team while you're late?
It was totally beyond my control. We had a church staff meeting.
Here comes blame.
So no blame.
Oh,
Yeah, it was great. Our church staff meetings are really great.
Are you saying
Really
Saddleback?
I was just going to say that was kind of like a shot at our staff meetings,
Our
which I
church-
just came from
I-
that ended on time.
And I just said our church staff meetings are really great. That's what I said. I wasn't comparing. Because when you compare, really, you compare what you know about what you don't. Oh, but I do know. So maybe it's not a comparison.
Yeah, it's just a shot, and I'm tired of
Yeah,
it,
I'm
and now I'm
super-
angry.
Speaking of shots, where are my video games? I know those are going to be forgotten just like the way of the watch.
I have your watch.
Yes, you do.
I found it. I did.
That was Insider too. I just wanted to put him on
Did
the spot.
Josh borrow something and never?
Actually, it was he didn't actually ask for it. We were at PD. What's the
Assembly
conference?
District Conference.
District Conference. We were at the PDYM
It's like
conference.
12 years ago, dude.
And he's scrambling around in his poor Griff ways, just needing to get the program ready. And he didn't know what he just needed to know what time it was. So I handed him my watch and said, "Here, you need this better, more than I do." And
Never got it
then
back.
I asked for it, and he thought I was joking.
I really didn't remember. It was like
joking.
months later.
He's like, hey, "I'll ask."
Well, if you were handed a Rolex, wouldn't you?
It was what I got for Valentine's Day too.
I've
from my
handed Josh
wife.
one of those. I saw on Saturday.
Wow, and you
Oh.
just handed that over?
Yeah.
Cool.
I was
I'm a
cleaning
giver.
out. I was cleaning out a drawer, and it had a little sticky tab
$15
from
watch.
my daughter Cassie.
Yeah.
That you bought some Boneheads cards. And
Oh,
it says
yeah.
Josh owes $20.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sure you paid.
it rained on that car wash day, so I never got my car washed. So you're not getting my money.
That's funny. Remember that?
It's good.
Just kidding. Yeah.
No, I didn't even know
No,
what you
I
were
mean,
talking
I
about. But now that you say
think-
car wash, I do know that was.
And it did really get
exactly
rained out.
$50.
Wow, I got your
Sent
watch
to
now.
Twitter that day about trifecta. Something happened. Three things that happened. Raised money, didn't have to do the work, and there was something else. I remember that. I thought it was funny.
Thank you.
I didn't favorite it. But
That's good. Hey, this is from one of our regular, and he doesn't say don't use his name, but I'm not going to use his name.
well,
Okay.
it could be a her then.
No, it's a okay. It's
We're gonna call her Vince. Vince.
her name is Vince.
Love it.
Vince.
Says we're in the process of hiring a third pastor. So this is the adult discipleship evangelism pastor. So
Okay.
we've got the senior pastor,
Yep.
and we've got Vince, the youth pastor. This new third pastor, his salary will be between mine and the senior pastor.
Normal.
I'm struggling
Keep
a
the youth
little.
pastor at the bottom. Keep going.
You
You
know?
could have motored right through it. That would have been
Yeah, I
fine.
just like
That
our
one's
team
on
to
you.
Hear the question.
Could we know
I'm-
who hasn't said something?
I appreciate that until just now. I'm struggling a little with my heart, brain, and wallet. I am 33 years old, been doing full-time ministry for 10 years, have been at this church for 5+ years. What I'm struggling with is this new pastor is more valuable on his first day than me in my 2000th day. Now I know this guy will more than likely have a seminary degree, and I'm not done with mine yet. And I know we have to have a competitive salary in order to get a quality minister. So do I bring up my feelings with the senior pastor,
Yes.
who's a friend and a mentor and a really great pastor? Or do I just swallow it and embrace the view that most churches have on their youth ministry? Bigger question, when will the church, on the whole, realize that people are choosing what church they go to by the quality of their children and youth ministries more than any other reason? This is my experience. I have no facts or numbers, but
It's
it feels
it's
that
number
way.
4.
And treat them accordingly.
Fourth.
Thanks, guys and gal. And of course, how I feel about you goes without saying, so I'm not going to say it.
Well, you're welcome. Maybe.
Vince.
Not quite sure. Not quite sure what you were gonna say
Who
there.
loves us? Who doesn't?
Well, you just take it. You just take it in the shorts. That's just the way it is. So roll over.
In the shorts.
I would say
That's an expression, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 2011. Here we go.
It must be a Web 2.0 something.
well, he has a relationship with them, which I feel like I don't know. I'm a fan of anytime you're feeling something and it's brewing in your heart, that you should go and if he has a relationship, talk to him about it. I think that's Griff. Oh,
Why does he have the giggles
I was just
right now?
thinking of
I don't know.
Anytime
something that maybe Katie should address then in her life. It was just a funny moment that no one would know about. So sorry.
insider.
Yes, that's why it didn't need to come out.
That's why I ignored it. See what maturity does?
I know.
Just sit
It's
quiet.
interesting.
That could have been a good bit.
Sorry.
I'm a bit digger.
But I think,
Keep going. Keep going.
I think that if he has a relationship with him, it's okay to go and talk to him.
Okay, so
It doesn't
Josh
have to be
says,
hostile. It could just be like, hey,
Josh
I'm
says
kind of-
nothing, you say talk.
I don't know. If
Matt?
you're-
I say you're worth it. Earn it. Earn it, and they will come.
I mean, this is a situation where it would be it would be good to know the numbers, because to know how big of a spread it's going to be. I mean, obviously you can't email that and talk about it on air and all that stuff. But I think that plays, how big of a gap are we talking about? But if I had to say something, I would lean more toward, you should say something. You should say, hey man, do you think it's time? Do you think I'm ready? Do you think I deserve it?
Can you do it independently of the new guy coming in though? Or is that the catalyst and that's the benchmark?
I know. See,
It's
that's
I don't like it framed up against somebody else.
That's
Do it
true.
on your own recognizance.
Yes. Wow. Amazing. Wow.
Now what, people?
I'm pretty sure that wasn't used properly, but we're going to go on. But anyhow.
Yeah.
But it depends on what what you're talking about. I mean, it is interesting because if they only had a month ago or whatever, they only had 2 pastors or whatever on staff, and the second pastor they hired was the high school person, then it goes to show that maybe in that church they view that the student ministries is the second most important position there. I mean, maybe, and so that is a good argument to say, hey, look, you've had me for a long time. Why not give me a raise? But there's also just it seems like a universal rule that whoever comes later makes more money than whoever's been there for a long time.
Cannot
And that's
be frustrated by that.
Of
That's
youth
just
ministry team, whether you're a youth pastor or not, or whatever. I mean, that's just
If you want more money, leave your church, go to another church, ask for more money, they'll give it to you, and then you can quit your bickering.
yeah. I mean, it's just tough because that reinforces movement and change and stuff like that. So,
I just feel like being McGill right now. I don't know why. Since you're not showing up, I have to deliver.
that was a good.
Okay.
I'm not sure I like this paradigm shift right now.
Seriously, when do I not show up?
40 minutes we were asking ourselves the same
To
question.
who doesn't want to be like me? Except for Katie.
I like being close to you, but I don't want to be you.
That's good. So,
Doug, what's the right answer?
That hurt me.
Enough playful
sorry,
banter. What do you got for us?
that's surprising.
Well,
A few shocks left.
here's the deal. When he uses the word friend, I mean, my first thing is, if it's moving your heart towards bitterness,
Totally.
you have to talk.
Absolutely.
You
Get
can
it
talk
out.
to somebody,
Get it out.
whether it's him, maybe somebody outside your church, where you can just get it out and talk about it and get some perspective. You can't let your heart go bitter. I think if it was a friend, like let's say, Josh, you're the youth pastor, I'm the senior pastor, and you be the senior pastor, I'll be the youth pastor.
Yeah.
I'd come to you and I'd say, Josh, I just got to let you know something that's brewing in my heart a little bit, and I think I've dealt with it in a fairly good way, but I want to bring you up to speed on it. And I think I would just say, I just don't, as we continue in year 5 on, and when my seminary degree, and I mean, I would begin to position and posture a little bit that I'm not left behind. I mean, I've said it 50 times on our podcast over the years, is that nobody is going to fight for your salary but you. There just isn't going to be anybody there. I mean, maybe in a very gracious church, or every once in a while, and if you're, part of the team and listening, and you're at a church where somebody is fighting for your salary,
So all those years
Great.
I should have fought for a little more money, huh?
yeah, I wasn't fighting for you. That's not true.
That's
There
not
are
true.
some exceptions.
Yes, that's not true.
But the relationship is the key. If you can
Yes.
talk to a senior pastor like that, you're going to be fine. The church will be healthy. They'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
If you don't have that relationship, it's going to be a tough battle.
Yeah.
Just remember, the love of money is the root of all evil.
Pretty sure that was
Good
misapplied, but
reminder.
anyhow.
Thank you, Scholar. Big Mike Lewis.
I love Big Mike.
Big Mike.
He's not so big anymore.
Is he on the wall?
He is now.
Oh, looky
You
there.
printed a picture out.
And
ML.
I am actually going to put his email on my blog.
It's good.
that
He's
So
in a
you're
rough
You're
he's in a
just
rough spot.
shamelessly plugging your blog right now.
No, I just don't think we can answer the question. I think it's more of a communal.
It's more of a
Okay.
communal.
Well, what about Matt's blog?
Oh, look,
communal.
I get
Yeah, exactly.
5 people a week look at my blog.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
That is.
Yeah.
More
my
Matt.
mother.
Youth
Quality,
ministry
not
needs your
quantity.
voice.
So that's
Hey, if your mother-in-law crapped out $3,000, would you buy a Segway?
I need to get to First of all, I can't believe you said that. That is a lovely.
That is a
okay. It's
callback.
never- it's
61
not-
show callback. That's incredible.
Thank you. I said that in episode 101.
At the 11th.
You don't remember that moment? Oh,
11 minutes
that was
in.
awesome.
No, I don't remember that.
Even I remember.
You want to
that.
bet on it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
What did you say? If your mom cracked out 3,000.
Would you buy a Segway?
Would you buy a Segway?
What were you
Yes or no?
say in response to that?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would. But I want to get to
185.
that you're not even a human under 200 pounds.
Sorry, buddy.
For dudes. Are you under 200? There's no way.
Am I under 200?
This
Yeah.
conversation is so good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
if
I'm
I was,
way under
if I, wow.
Way under. That's defensive.
I knew that.
Little,
Yeah.
yeah.
If I got to a certain weight, which I think is either, it was 245. If I get 245, I'd buy a Segway. I was gonna buy
That's
it.
awesome. What are you at right
Is
now?
that in writing?
What's that?
Is that in writing?
Well, Meech said it was okay. That's
Oh,
all I
that
need.
feels as good as writing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. No, I'm still at 265. I've been there for too long.
Yeah.
Falling off the
You
horse.
really haven't done much lately, have you?
No. I did walk today, though. Been walking still, but I gotta. Anyhow, let's do some youth ministry
You're gonna
stuff.
have to move. We did till you got here.
Yep.
Yeah, we already. This is question
I
number
mean, we
11.
keep talking about it. It's fine.
This is Peter. And Peter says, "Hi, Doug and Katie and the two other dudes. I just started listening to the podcast a month ago and can't get enough. Your discussions are so helpful. I look forward to the podcast every week. When do you know?" What do you think he's going to say?
When it's time to go.
Bingo.
Really? I'd love to put this one on my blog.
Say,
Next
ask
question.
For a raise.
That would have been awesome.
I'm trying. Well, you got so many guest bloggers. You don't even have to blog anymore, do you?
No, I don't. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Although I have 12 posts scheduled for this week. It's probably my biggest week ever.
Are you,
Almost
does,
to a
does
day.
that excite you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because like 5 of them are really good, and there's like 7 filler, but
Yeah.
they're really
So
good.
who are the 5 guest posts?
You're just mean. So when do you know if it's time to go?
He says, "I'm trying to figure out
We should do a new blog, just the three of us.
what about
What
Katie?
about
Well, Katie doesn't want a blog.
what about
Yeah.
Doug? He would be mean with just the 3 of us.
Okay, it's the three of us.
We could do a podcast.
I'm
blog.
sorry. When
if
is
you
the
all
time
read
to?
in one blog, then maybe I could read it. I wouldn't have to read 3 separate ones.
That's fair.
So that could be
Well,
helpful.
I could make your
for all of
computer
us.
have them all read them at once if you want.
That wouldn't. No,
Yeah.
she still wouldn't read it.
Just do one blog. It's easier. to
I'm trying to figure out whether I should just suck it up and stop complaining about my situation, or am I burning out and need to take a break? I'm a junior high pastor at a church in Sunland, California. It's my 7th year here. 3rd year as full-time pastor. Junior high average is about 130 kids.
Name.
Wow.
7th year itch, right
That's a
there.
lot.
That,
Yeah.
I think there's a 7-year
Time to go.
itch.
That's what I say. I like this. Just to be definitive for no reason. It's so much fun.
And you're saying that's what I am?
For
Oh,
I'm
Lee.
definitively saying that. Is what you are.
Oh my goodness.
The weird thing started happening this past year. I dread going to church on Sunday morning, and I can't wait till it's over so I can go home. I feel a lack of support from the church leadership. I want to try new stuff, but I feel the leadership pulling me back. They say stuff like, "When I was young, we did this, so you should do." The church leadership wants me to run more programs. I feel like I'm being micromanaged. When complaints come in about our junior high ministry, I'm usually rebuked by an older pastor without getting a chance to tell my side of the story. The frustration is getting to me, and it's affecting the amount of effort I put into the ministry. Is this something all pastors go through, or is it a sign it's time for me to leave?
He's clearly the only one that goes through this. Definitive without a reason. Wow.
So you weren't focused on Peter?
No, I
you
was
were-
totally focused.
Okay.
Would you
I'll
like
call
to
him
answer?
Vince.
Yeah.
It's totally natural. I mean, obviously, you said that with the 7-year itch thing, 7-year, 3-year itch, or whatever, and so I think everybody goes through that. I mean, ministry, life, just your own spiritual life has the ups and downs, and it's hard. Persistence is incredibly, incredibly difficult. So that being said, I feel like it is an important part of the spiritual life and leadership that you pay attention to how you're feeling and what you want and what you don't want, and when you're happy and when you're not happy, not in a selfish way, but in a way that if you are running hard after God and you're doing the things and you're doing the things that you've done your whole leadership, but your whole faith also. You're doing the same thing, and there's not a huge hole in your life with sin or a huge hole in your life and neglecting something to keep it on track. So assuming those two things aren't there, you totally need to pay attention, and something needs to change. Either you need to change what you're doing in your ministry, I think, or you need to move in another direction. This is where God's changing the desires of your heart, and you're feeling a new passion, and that might be a new area in that church, or it might be a new area in another church. But I think it's been going on long enough. That would usually that would be the other thing that I would think about. Is that just because you're discontented for a little bit, that discontented needs to be more than a short season. And it seems like you said for the past year. And so the fact that you've been living in it for a while, some kind of action's needed. And so I would assume you're talking to somebody, but maybe that's a bad assumption. And at some point, whether you're talking to a good friend, good person outside of the church staff or on the church staff, it's time to talk to somebody that you report to, somebody that you trust, somebody that you can just say. I mean, you don't have to say, "Hey, is it time for me to go?" Because that's a tough thing. In most environments, that's a death blow.
Right.
You know, that, hey, I'm thinking about going. Really? Then get out of here. You know, so maybe it's you don't go 100% pure honesty like that, because it can be misinterpreted too easily in most cultures, church cultures, human cultures. That's what I say. That's what I got.
Good answer.
Yeah, solid, dude.
So
I think there's a difference between a stirring and what I sense here is an apathy. Because I had lunch with a youth worker a couple weeks ago, and he definitely, God's stirring something in his heart, and I could relate to him because I had that for a year before I left Saddleback. I just knew God was stirring me in a different direction, but I didn't hate going. You know, I didn't hate my job for that year, and I think there's a difference between that stirring and that unsettled angst that makes me wonder, you know, do you need a new job description here? Do you need a sabbatical? Do you need a vacation? I mean, is it because really you're being micromanaged. You know, a couple other things that he listed. You go to another church, it's going to be the same thing there.
In one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
will be there.
when we all share our
you might get
issues,
better staff meetings.
you might, but you're still in the honeymoon phase.
Slap. Just a
Yeah.
slap and over.
Honeymoon phase.
Well, I didn't even mean that. I'm just teeing off what
Are
Griff
you
said.
kind of a sellout wearing that shirt?
Why?
Oh, I just thought you said that. I wondered. That was the time I actually employed by this organization, institution,
That's right.
academic community.
So
Do you
Pacific.
get a commission per student that puts your name on the application?
I wish. I wish.
That'd be awesome.
So
Should work
anyway,
on that. I want in.
New affiliate.
to
Click
this,
here to go to Azusa. Done. $2,900.
I would say I think this is different than a stirring.
Yeah, apathy. I would say apathy is different than discontent. I mean, stirring is definitely, I think, the way you describe stirring and the way I describe discontent. I think they're similar in
Mine's
some
more
ways.
positive. Yours a little more negative. Which is that would
Yeah, is discontent bad?
no, it's just that would be a
Like
traditional
you
Fields
haven't spent your
McGill.
whole life trying to get kids to go out of their comfort zone to grow in Christ. You haven't.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about.
I didn't think so. Okay, what were we talking about?
I don't know. You guys
Apathy.
got anything for him?
Yes, but I think apathy is a different zip code.
I would just say this: you just have to test it, because these
exactly
feelings
right.
are normal. He or she, whatever it was, has been in the ministry for 7 years in this church, so they have been through these moments before, and this is
Yeah.
particularly a particularly long stretch, a year. But you've got to test that, and you got to test it and go, God, are you calling me away from this church? God, are you calling me to this church? God, are you stirring something new? Whatever it is. And that test, I think, will reveal a lot about your next steps. And you test it, and if God's saying, I want you out, then you know it's time to go. And if he's saying, I want you in, you will feel more called to it than ever before. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. In fact, I think a first step in healing this mess, and that would be to pour relationally into the leaders. Because really, there's a disconnect between him and the leadership. You know, he's
Yeah.
saying these people are always micromanaging me. They're always telling me what to do. Or when I was a kid,
Yeah,
that means
try
they
and
don't
make a
know you.
friendship with one of the morons.
Go hard. I would say hard press those
Yeah.
people, and become their friends and win them over, because it's a long journey and it's uphill now. Especially the way you feel in your heart, it's uphill. But I think it starts with making a couple key relationships and pouring into those people. They become your fans. This whole thing turns around. Is it time to abandon ship?
Could be.
Look around. Is it time to save the ship? I would guess, dude, 7 years in, we've all been there. Literally have all been there. It's worth fighting for. So test it and find out if it is.
Were you your first church 7 years?
7. Right at 7. Then I was like, I'm out of here. This place sucks. And I'm at 7 right now. In 3 weeks, I'll be at 7 years at Saddleback. So,
Really?
yeah.
Ready to?
So,
But in different positions. So
I can give you one of these.
very much so. My job
Maybe one
description has
of these
changed 3 or 4
sweatshirts.
times. It's been an enjoyable ride. But 7 years is a something. But to me, 7 years says you've seen it, you've fought through it, you
Yeah.
know politics, you know parents, you know the ugly, you know the awesomeness and the wins and the blah, blah, blah. But you also know, you don't just leave over, man, this place is bumming me out today.
Yeah.
So he's past that. But I still think there's something, you know, drilling a little deeper into
I always wonder when we talk about people like this asking us time to leave questions that, obviously we're all filled with the Holy Spirit. We can share our wisdom that God in His sovereignty may use for this person. But I always think about the people that are listening that didn't write this question. Like,
don't feel this way?
well, that either maybe do feel the way and go, sometimes I just go, that's just the Holy Spirit's MO to
How many people
go
does this
after,
represent right now?
go after.
Oh, a lot.
If
Guaranteed.
someone close to me says, "Hey, I'm thinking about exploring an option,"
I-
or a church approached me, I always say, "Go." Because if you say no to them, you are saying yes to this ministry and what God is doing, and you're called to us when you say no to someone else. So in this particular setting, I would say explore it a little bit. And when you get the answer, if the answer is yes, then go, and God bless you.
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then welcome back and work your butt off and let's fix this thing.
So if McGill offered you more money to go to Mariners,
It would take a lot, but I'd probably go.
just for the staff meetings.
good staff.
I could think of a number.
I haven't been to one.
Just kidding. Not really, but kind of.
Yeah. No.
There's like 30%
I mean,
of me that...
honestly,
No, forget it.
honestly, if you never challenge your calling,
No, that's good, man.
isn't there
Amen.
something wrong? I mean, I think that yeah. I
Dude,
was
that's
just about to
good.
say
End it.
something.
It's perfect.
I was just
End
about
it.
to say something that would make an incredibly horrible soundbite, but it's the way I feel. I
Can
mean,
you just say it?
Here it
yeah, I mean, of
comes.
course I'll say it. I mean, it's not going to be that big, but I mean, you go through times in your life where I go through times in my life where you doubt everything, where you throw everything up in the air and say, okay, what is really true? Am I doing the right thing with my life? Am I,
Totally.
is Jesus the only way? Yes. I mean, that's what I was thinking in my mind. Yes, Jesus is the only way. But you have to, reboot's not the right word. But you have to reevaluate
yeah.
everything, I mean, I think it's a natural part of life.
I feel like every probably 18 months, I think I go through something like that where
Yeah. And I'm like
Reevaluating,
every
coming back
18
to
minutes.
I was going to say,
praying
7
specific
years.
prayers in that area.
18
And
months.
I love what I'm doing, and I'm super
Yeah.
content. And I have been at the same church forever, and in the same ministry forever, and working with the same people forever. But I feel like maybe every year and a half or so, you just kind of were like, do I need to change it up a little? Do I need to stretch myself a little bit more? Do I need to challenge myself in a new
I love
area? I think
Love it.
some specific.
I think that's
kind of
healthy,
stuff.
though. Man, you're supposed to grow. This is good. There should be an evolution of you as a leader and as a pastor and you don't have to necessarily leave youth ministry, but
I'm afraid, I think if I stand still too long in one place, that I might get to a point where I'm,
totally.
in that place. So I think praying, and really kind of trying to continue to push myself further is a good thing. Healthy.
Pretty legit answer.
How do we're kind of at our time, even
I
though
forgot,
it
it
feels
feels-
like we're just getting here with
Yeah,
Matt.
with Matt being so late, interesting.
Interesting how a show doesn't really feel like it starts until. Wait a minute.
We just glanced over.
Time out. That was supposed to
We
be a
have
get,
some
and
good,
somehow.
some good and some hurting. Dave from Fulton,
What?
he's been asked to be let go, but the church has been a little bit gracious in giving him a year, but just struggling with that. And
Good question.
Some other less of a question and more, well, a little bit of a question, like what's a good way to leave?
Yeah.
And I feel like that, I would say to Dave that the church has honored you by giving you some time and not just saying you got 2 weeks, that you honor them back and speak highly of them and help with the transition, and as the Lord leads you to a different
Maybe
place.
that other guy who's thinking about leaving can end up going to that spot.
They could go there.
That's a
Got
long
a
time.
nice photo with my buddy Derek Altum.
Oh,
right there.
yeah. I call him Vince.
DA.
That's cute. Where's that at?
This was at the D6 conference in Dallas in September.
Oh, the conclave.
Did you go to that?
It's
No,
not the
I'm going to this
Oh.
year.
D6.
Yeah, he says one of the highlights of the conference was we got to take a picture together. And he says, I look forward to being there again this September. Not only Doug will be there, but Josh as
Oh.
Heidi ho.
well.
Wow.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm rooming with Doug. Save
What
money.
does D6
Is that cheap?
stand for?
Is that cheap of me? Especially when I snore.
Oh, you snore?
Stands for Deuteronomy 6. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was
didn't know
Dallas. Interesting. Just kidding. I knew that. Thanks for the invitation to
that.
speak.
Which part of Deuteronomy 6?
The entire chapter, all 32 verses.
You're such a liar.
You don't believe me that I know how many verses are in Deuteronomy 6.
He was homeschooled.
He was homeschooled.
Bro, I
Sword
know.
drill.
Sword drill. There. I'm there that fast. My Bible opens to Deuteronomy 6.
All right.
That's funny.
We can go.
I didn't think it was
Okay.
that funny.
So those are just previews of next time.
No, I don't know. I mean, that assumes.
Can I
that
assume there will be a
assumes-
next time?
Yeah. Well, I was
Dun,
gonna.
dun,
I was gonna.
dun.
No, that assumes that I was gonna keep the. that assumes that I was gonna keep the question.
Can I propose a name change for the show? Since I think we're done, right?
No, I was gonna read one more,
Oh,
like
great.
a little tender. But if you want to kind of.
No, a tender
A
question.
name
can
change?
Well, I
McGill and
think-
Friends podcast?
go. There it is. You just spoiled it, but there. I think podcast is
creative.
nice, but it is falling out of the current English vocabulary language.
Okay.
We don't do
I
podcasts.
suggest that we do the Simple Youth Ministry show, which is eternal, timeless TV, any format, whatever.
Show.
Simple Youth Ministry show, episode
Do you think
162.
we're headed towards television?
No, no, I don't. That was a guffaw.
That was
Yeah. Do you think we are? Have you seen
know.
Doug's face for radio? Anyhow, What about the Simple Youth Ministry show? Now let's go tender and
All right,
Show.
let's pray about that.
I would say
pray about that means no.
This is Do Not Read My Name. A while ago on the podcast, you were sharing about ministering to kids in crisis when Doug featured the story on his blog of a youth pastor who walked through the grieving process with a student's family. Honestly, I think I heard and read those stories before, like people talk about war, something tragic and terrible, but those who aren't going through it talk about it with a bit of envy and romanticism. This past Sunday, I was sitting in church waiting at the end of a service where I was going to baptize 5 students when an usher came to me because a police officer asked to speak with me. The officer told me that one of my students was outside calling for me because she was just informed that her father had committed suicide that morning.
Oh, gosh.
I spent the next 5 hours at her house with her mom, 4 siblings, crying, hugging, making lunch. I was thankful God had prepared me for this crisis. After they found out the dad had committed suicide, the mom was informed by the police that an investigation was going on to begin prosecuting him for molesting minors. So this family is dealing with 2 things that would be completely overwhelming on their own, but put together, I'm just praying it doesn't get picked up by the news and
Don't
that people
tell me
don't
that
stop
the kids know that.
loving them because of what their dad did. The student started coming to youth group at the beginning of the school year and accepted Christ at our winter retreat in March, and she and her mom have been attending for a few months. I don't really know of the rest of the family. She's one of 5 kids ages 10 through 18, other than bonding with them through grief. Says, I guess there are a couple things I'd want to share with the podcast team. 1, if you haven't experienced something like this, don't have an envious spirit thinking that it will make you the real youth pastor. Obedience to whatever God places you is what makes you a real pastor, not ministry in times of crisis. 2, thank you to the team for the ways you equip and train us despite the podcast only having enough youth ministry to make us feel not feel guilty for listening. So anyway, I just read that
Strong.
and I thought, man,
That's so strong.
that is why kids need youth group. That is why youth workers do what they do. These moments are life changers and game changers that we get the privilege to intersect into a young person's life so short and make such a big impact. Last night, I was speaking at Guthridge's church, and Aaron Gutridge is a guy that Matt brought to our youth group when he was in high school. And when Aaron introduced me, he introduced me very tender and just talked about, this is the person who was instrumental in changing my life. And I kind of went to bed reflecting of all the things last night, and I just thought, what a privilege, what a privilege we have to stand before kids and parents and families and to, point them to Jesus and to be there when their life falls apart.
Paper's dry.
Timing. So anyway, I just thought I just felt like he wrote in with a pretty tender heart and wanted to acknowledge that. So that anonymous situation, I'm going to hang on to this and put it in my little prayer journal for a short season, and I'd be interested in a follow up on that as well.
Totally.
So anyway, there we have it.
Strong.
Yeah.
That's youth ministry
All
right
right.
there. Love it.
Love you guys.
Good job, team.
Matt. Better late than never, and for you, that is legitimately true.